What's up, YouTube? I've been thinking I had to get fuel when I came out for the ride today, and it cost me a whopping $13 again at the gas pump, which is very consistent. It's what it costs me every time. And every time I do that, it gets me thinking, and it makes me happy. You know, I never despise getting gas in the bike because I know it's going to be $13 when my truck would cost about $113 to fill. And it made me think, like, cost per mile on this thing is so low and the fuel efficiency is so good. It started to make me think on my way here on the practicalities of owning a motorcycle, where a lot of people look at it just as a toy and a hobby, but they can actually serve a pretty practical purpose too. And I think my current scenario and my current situation describes that pretty well, so I wanted to kind of share that with you guys. Maybe it'll help you convince the girlfriend or the wife. I'll give you my scenario here. I've got my Dodge Ram, which is an absolute pig on fuel. It's an older one. It's a 2005, so it doesn't have, the MDS. It didn't shut down to 4 cylinders. It's got the full V8 roaring all the time. I've got a 2012 Ford Fusion right now, and then I've got the bike, and these are the 3 vehicles essentially that I have. We don't really use the truck at all, to be honest. Sometimes I'll boot around town with it for short distances, but I'm not really going to go to work with it or anything like that, just because I'm commuting so far and it's so heavy on gas. It's just not practical at all. My wife won't touch it because it's too big, so she will just drive the car of the 3 vehicles we have. She won't touch the bike obviously either. Not that I'm complaining. So she's got the car. I will drive either, but again, to work, the truck just isn't the practical option. So going to work, I'll essentially use the bike or the car, while the truck essentially just sits there, and I'm paying to insure it for nothing and all this stuff. It's not all that practical. Now, I commute, we'll call it just, for easy math, about an hour each way to work and back. I've done some math on my way over here. It cost me $6.50, give or take, on the bike per day in fuel when I'm going to work. $6.50. In the truck, it costs $30 per day, and the car costs about $15. And let's compare the car, which is a fuel-efficient car, to the bike. So we're comparing $15 to $6.50, which is about $8.50, if my math serves me correctly, that I'm saving per day by taking the bike versus the car. $8.50 per day. Now, I work pretty well like most other jobs, 5 days a week. I get paid bi-weekly, so that's 10 days that I'm going to commute for my bi-weekly paycheck. Saving $8.50 per day, that's $85 bi-weekly that I'm going to save on fuel by taking this instead of the car. But coincidentally, this bike, I financed it and I pay bi-weekly, and it cost me, I think, $82. Alright, now some might argue that insurance costs will kind of offset the point that I just made, but that really depends on your insurer, it depends on your age, it depends on a lot of circumstances, as you know. But I would suggest anybody who's looking into it or considering it, really shop around for insurance, because there's such a big gap in the different quotes that I received before I got the bike. At first I kind of ruled it out because the quotes were just too high. But I shopped around and I spoke to some friends. I think even I used YouTube as a resource, and I checked out State Farm, and they happened to work in my favor. Because I signed up with them and I moved my cars over to them too, I got a multi-vehicle discount, which brought down my rate, which means I'm actually saving money on insurance by owning the bike. So the bike essentially doesn't cost me anything throughout the summer. The winter, I've got to eat the cost because I can't ride it. It is what it is. So there's more to it than just the cost. With the amount of time I spend on the road and at work and just not at home with my family, it doesn't leave a lot of time for hobbies. Everybody's got to have some sort of hobbies. It's what keeps you sane. Once I get home, it's family time or sleeping time, and that's about it. There's no there's not a lot of time for extras. Well, having this bike gives me the opportunity to combine my commuting time and my hobby time into one. I look at it as it gives me more time in the day to enjoy my day, to do what I want to do. On my way to work, I get to enjoy myself by essentially commuting. It's my hobby. It's when I'm on the bike, not when I'm in the car. When I'm at work at the end of my shift, I know that I have something to look forward to because my bike is sitting outside and I can see it through the windows, and I get the opportunity to ride that for about an hour before I get home. So by the time I get home, work is out of the way, my hobby time is out of the way, I feel good and I can focus on my family. Again, I can only speak to my experience here, not everybody else's obviously, but you can try to find a way to relate it to your own situation. Let's talk about cost again. We'll go cost of having a hobby. Hobbies cost money typically, and it's hard to put a price tag on that because it varies so much and it depends on the individual. But we'll just use one as an example. A lot of people are into video games, so let's just say console gaming. You know, you've got a lot of gamers out there, and that's their thing, that's their hobby. And again, the degree to which they game can be very different, and obviously the cost is reflective of that. But for simple math, and just to be fair, let's just say they buy one game a month. Here, a brand new video game will run you about $60, so that's another $60 a month that they're spending on their hobby that I don't have to spend. My hobby's actually saving me money. By having the bike, it also prevents me from basically having to go out and get another vehicle. Again, we're excluding the truck from this conversation because the wife won't touch it. But if I didn't have the bike, I might have to go out and get another car or an SUV, or I don't even want to say it, a minivan. No, I'm kidding. I will never do that. But if I didn't have the bike, maybe I would have to do that, because right now the wife can get her stuff done because she's got the car at home because I'm on the bike. So if I didn't have the bike, would I have to go out and buy a car? Probably, yeah. I have like 1.5 cars now. I say 1.5 because, again, I can't use the bike every day. And I don't use it in the winter. Some of you can use it in the winter. You can use it all year round, and I'm very envious of you guys, but that's not the case for me. But still, it prevents me from having to go out and buy another vehicle, and I'm saving that money and that headache as well. With regards to the mileage that I'm accruing, obviously driving the amount that I drive really racks up the mileage on the odometer really quickly. And the more I use the bike, the more I'm saving in depreciation for my car. The car costs a lot more money than the bike does. Like, the bike will run me about $5,500. Cars are, well, if you get a decent car, you're going to spend $30,000. Do I want to depreciate the $6,000 asset or the $30,000 asset? Many different ways to look at everything, really. It's all about your perspective. Because at first glance, yeah, this bike just cost me extra money and boys and their toys and all that. But when you really break it down that way, it can make a lot of sense. So ask yourself if it makes sense to you the same way it does for me. Some people don't use their bikes for commuting, and it's strictly a pastime, but that's okay too, because again, pastimes and hobbies will generally cost you money. Now, I know I'm speaking a lot of financial, I'm putting a lot on the financial side of it, but with regards to practicality, that's a lot of people look at financials immediately when they think practical. That's it right there. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? Does it make sense for you as well? Or is it just a fun hobby and passion that you're willing to spend extra money on? That's all I've got for you guys. Thank you much for joining me again, and keep on keeping on.